Well, today we had the final cards revealed for the March of the Lich King set. So this is very exciting. Last of the cards, 203 cards is what they have revealed for this. It's quite a few cards because of all the Death Knights and adding all that in. But we did have the last of the Hunter and Warlock cards. Hunter cards being revealed on this article site, and Link revealing the last of the Warlock cards in a video on his YouTube. Let's take a look at these. We have our Hunter cards. Alderon, Brightwing, a 3-mana 3/4. Battlecry, give all arcane spells in your deck spell damage +1. Now, there's not many spells right now. There are revealed some arcane spells for Hunter. This, though, you do have to get this and then play it as a battle cry, and only the arcane spells in your deck end up getting that spell damage, but still could be quite a lot of spell damage depending on, how many arcane spells you have. I'm not completely sold on this one. It might be okay, but I don't think you completely rely on this for the deck itself. Then we have Ricochet Shot. It's a 1-mana arcane spell. Deal 1 damage to 3 random enemies. Now, because this is random enemies, it's not just minions, it can hit face, but this is specifying that it has to be 3 different things, essentially 3 different enemies. So if there are like 2 minions on board, it will hit both of those minions and your opponent's face. And then if your opponent has no minions on board, it's just going to hit their face once. It's not going to repeat. If it did, it would say like, deal 1 damage 3 times or something to that effect. But this is specifying that it is 3 different things. Pretty good though. I still think it's decent. You definitely can use it. Obviously, it can benefit from spell damage increases. It's very cheap. Kind of interested to see if people try to bring Quest Hunter back before the quest line is gone. We'll see on that, but I definitely think that this one could be something for sure. Then we have Conjured A, a 2-mana arcane spell. Deal 2 damage to a minion. Mana Thirst of 6, draw that many cards. I am personally kind of not a fan of the wording of this, but the drawing cards is equal to the amount of damage that you deal. So if you deal 2 damage and you have that Mana Thirst, you will draw 2 cards. If you increase that with spell damage or something, and you deal 3 damage and you have that Mana Thirst, you would then draw 3 cards. Pretty good payoff, though. I really do think that this kind of is a pretty neat card overall. You can use it early if you need to kill a Trog or kill some sort of like early minion, that's on the board from your opponent. Maybe in a Quest Hunter style deck, you're using this early to just progress that quest line. And if you draw this later in the game, you can draw more, which I definitely think things like Quest Hunter would love, because typically by that time you might be top decking and only have like 1 card in your hand. So being able to deal some damage, draw additional cards on top of that, very, very good. But even mid-game, just that additional card draw, I think, can be fantastic. Plus, as an arcane spell, there is some other synergies that we've already seen. And there's even more. We have Silvermoon Farstrider, a 2-mana 2/3. Battlecry, give all arcane spells in your hand, spell damage +1. So the legendary adds the spell damage to the arcane spells in deck. This one is adding it to any arcane spells in your hand. So a bit of a trade-off there, but since this is not legendary, you can run 2 of these, so you might encounter this a little bit more often. Otherwise, though, I mean, still the 2/3 body, not bad. If you get to even buff 1 or 2 arcane spells by that +1, you might also be running some sort of spell damage increase on top of that. These still seem solid as a whole package. I'm really not convinced on these minions themselves completely yet, but in terms of like their stats and stuff, then they seem like they can do something. And moving into our Warlock cards, so we have Devourer of Souls. I love this artwork. But it's a 1 mana 1/3 undead. We've seen several 1 mana 1/3s this expansion now. But it's an undead, and after a friendly minion dies, gain its Deathrattle. Okay, so seems like they want some Deathrattle stuff to kind of come back to Warlock. On its own, without Deathrattles and stuff, just as a 1/3, it's just kind of whatever. It does have the undead tag, so maybe there's a little synergy there. Now we have this legendary Darkon Drather. It's an 8 mana 6/6 undead with lifesteal, and at the end of your turn, deal 6 damage to the enemy hero. This one I love. I love end of turn effects because it means that you will get that effect at least once. So, there's no way playing around it, but usually the effects might be strong, but it does leave your opponent generally with turn after to then respond to whatever you just did. This having lifesteal, though, being able to drop a 6/6 on the board, deal 6 to your opponent, heal for 6, and then they have to respond, very strong. Very strong. It is undead. We've already seen some undead synergies as well, so maybe somebody makes something with undead happen, but it is slightly low costed for the 8 mana. But of course, it has a very strong effect. So I definitely think that people will be trying this one out, be testing this, and I think it will have an impact and fit somewhere. Then we get to Twisted Tether. It's a 4 mana shadow spell. Destroy a minion, give it stats to a random undead in your hand. We also have been seeing similar effects to this. This is only targeting 1 minion, but again, because it just says destroy a minion, you'll hear me say this all the time. It does not specify enemy. This means you could use it on your own if you are looking to trigger death rattles or something like that. If you want to, use this, clear off one of your minions to get some sort of big buff stat before you're going to do something else on board. If you need to clear up a space on your own board, like if you have a full board, there are a lot of applications for this, absolutely. But, at its base, just being able to destroy an enemy minion and add its stats to an undead in your hand, still very powerful effect, whether you're using it on an enemy minion or your own minion. This card, I think, is absolutely nuts. I think this card is so good. It is 4 cost, but still a 4 cost removal. Fantastic. And we have Shallow Grave, a 2 mana spell. Trigger a friendly minion's Deathrattle, then destroy it. So essentially, you get 2 Deathrattle effects. You will trigger that Deathrattle, then it gets destroyed, and then it will trigger its Deathrattle for the 2. Again, Deathrattle stuff. They're really trying to make it happen. That seems very good. We have seen things like that in the past, but not quite for Warlock. There was a short time where maybe like an egg type of Warlock was around, but it felt a little short-lived. So maybe Deathrattle stuff in Warlock sticks around a little bit longer, but being able to activate an extra Deathrattle effect definitely seems strong. And then lastly, we have Infantry Reanimator. It's a 6 mana 4/4. Battlecry, resurrect a friendly undead. Give it reborn. Okay, so being able to resurrect an undead, give it reborn. If it's an undead that has death rattle, maybe you've got synergies there. It is a little bit costly, but because you're resurrecting something, you're getting this 4/4 plus the stats of whatever it is that you are resurrecting. Very, very interesting effects here. I really want to test a Deathrattle like undead warlock now and see how this actually can go. I think there are some pretty neat death rattles in this set specifically, so pretty excited for that. But that is all of the cards revealed now. Now we get to the really fun, exciting stuff where we get to start theory crafting decks as a whole, looking at everything together and see how it goes. And I definitely will be doing some theory crafting, talking about some of my favorite cards. And I was one of the invited streamers to stream on the theory crafting day, December 1st. It's a Thursday. I will be streaming from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Pacific on my Twitch channel. You can find that link in the description if you want to come stop by. There's going to be giveaways for bundles and all sorts of stuff going on, but I will be trying out some different decks, seeing what's up. We have a little bit of a deck restriction, but we'll make it work. And of course, I will post a ton of stuff here on this YouTube channel so that you can stay up to date, even if you can't make it to that stream. So thank you all for supporting the channel. I hope to see you there. And if you can't make it by, then at least you'll be able to check some of that out on this channel. And if you haven't already, in the spirit of getting ready for this theory crafting, if you could check out my kind of theory crafted rune idea. I created an entire system of runes if every class had them, and what I think that that system could look like, including some custom cards. So check that out next, and I'll see you in the next one.